Ladies and gentlemen, my name is The Reckonist. Welcome to Football Manager 2019, and Gylfi Pleasures is now available to download and play by all. This video is brought to you thanks to the wonderful support from the people on Patreon, people such as Plendor, Yannick Ott and Reese Robinson. If you want early access to tactics and develop them alongside with me, and plus more benefits, follow the links below. Thank you very much for your support, guys. Now, this year, I noticed something in the match engine. I have talked about it a lot on the streams, that if you have a playmaker this year, you are smothered. You are pressed very high and very quickly, which makes sense. You know, it's a perfectly reasonable thing. I think I've noticed it a bit more this year just because of how aggressive the playmakers are closed down, no matter where they are in the pitch. So then I got thinking, well, you can't really close down 3 playmakers, can you? No, you can't really close down 4. And 5 is a bit ridiculous, but then we started to develop a tactic based on 6 playmakers. So it was this particular tactic didn't start off like this. It didn't finish off like this, I should say. Yeah, trequartista. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 playmakers if you don't count the Libero. Some people might. But we needed more of a direct threat. So the direct threat of having, 2 strikers was too much to ignore, especially because you're going to have such high quality passes. This particular tactic is based around very, very high quality passes. People with good passing, people with good first touch, technique, flair, vision, all of that. The reason is, as I've noticed the pattern of most of my tactics, I like to camp outside the opposition area, doing short passes. And taking advantage of mistakes, sort of baiting people into making errors. And this is what we've come up with this year. This is just a random save I was doing testing, but there is about at least 30 hours of streaming. You can go and check back on the Twitch channel and also on the YouTube channel where it's uploaded the day after. And we've come across, this is what we've ended up going with. It's basically an attacking mentality with short pass focus, high up the pitch, forcing an error and capitalizing with it on there. Also, this is a Libero. This could not, well, it doesn't have to be a Libero. You can go with a ball-playing defender cover, or in the Arsenal save, we actually had a lot of success with Socrates just as a no-nonsense cover. Either way, there's no offside trap, so you can feasibly have a cover here. That's not a problem. So that's open for interpretation based on what kind of players you've got. Also, the false 9. I've picked a false 9. I like the false 9 because it is pretty much hangs around here anyway. He's a midfielder. But he will provide aid to the guy up here. So what I would suggest for the front 2 is 1 attack and 1 support role, but not a target man. That creates all sorts of problems, really. But you can try it out. Why not? Go try it out. I also have on the default, I have swap positions from the left and right wide playmakers. They flip sides because I had 2 decent ones who can play either side. Also, these 2 are also swapping around on the default because of the Arsenal save where I had like lots of strikers and people could actually do more than 1 role. So yeah, so that's what I've got as default. You can change that yourself just by clicking on the player and removing it. Oh no, ignore that. I haven't got it on the default. Okay, I've switched it off the default. You can add that if you want to. Ignore that. Okay, so what else have I done here? Right, so, well, first of all, let's have a look at what we've done. I basically managed about 10 games of this season, like the opening 5 and the last 5 with Lazio. Finished second. There's no way in hell you're going to catch Juventus in the first season. I think finishing second, I think we're aiming at 6th, but finishing second. I think it's as good as the first season you're going to get with any club in Italy as a second spot. But, we're expected to finish 6th or 7th, I think, as Lazio. I think we've had a pretty good season. On top of that, we actually won the Europa League with a 3-2 extra time victory over Bayer Leverkusen. We'll talk about how this happens now. So, okay, well, first of all, let's have a look at what you're going to see. What you will see is going to be a huge amount of goals from through balls and crosses, and I will just emphasize, I'll show you exactly what that is. The goal assist types, we've only used this particular formation all season. It's 50 games exactly, which is handy. Literally 50 games. And this is what the template looks like. Through ball goals scored 26 to conceding 12. Okay, 12 is a little high. I think that will actually go down if you use a covering defender instead of a Libero. Obviously, it makes sense, the through balls. There's only a standard defensive line, but still, it might help that. The main thing there is through balls 26. When you see through balls and you see the amount of goals scored from through balls, you expect it to be like from deep, and you're clearing it long, and you got a Jamie Vardy running from deep, one-on-one, cut back and scores. That's not what is happening. The through balls are happening because we're so far up the pitch, we have such high quality passes that they can slide rule passes in, 6-10 yards into the box and then bang, a goal. All of these passes from around here have to be of the highest quality, which is why I have Regista, wide playmakers. Everybody as a high passing is what you need for this. Secondary amount of goals comes in from crosses, 23. Assist locations, 12 and 18, both flanks. This flank is particularly strong. I'll talk about why that is in a second. And what else have we got? Clear-cut chances created. Just some stats for you here. Pretty much created twice as many clear-cut chances as we have for rather than against. 10 goals from corners and 6 goals from free kicks, I think, is actually quite impressive. I'll talk about why that is as well in a minute, and I'll talk about some of the plays that I recommend for this as well. Nothing particularly special here, but you see, nice composed finishes. Place shots were needed, so strikers, nice and composed, good finishing will help that. But yeah, that's this side of it. What else can we look at? Right, okay, let's have a look at basic setup here. Standard sweeper keeper. Nothing more to say about that. It doesn't really matter. Just as good a sweeper keeper as you can get there. These wide ball playing defenders, obviously you want good passes because they will be making diagonal balls, especially to literally to the opposite sides. Very good to have, try to switch ball to opposite flank and good passes. But also, because they are on the wide side of things, you kind of want them being very mobile. So acceleration, pace, anticipation, things like that should be secondary as long as good passes. There are archetypes in the written guide, which is linked below as well. As I mentioned before, the Libero, if you have one, if you want to play it, you absolutely can, but there are alternates, but in a covering factor would be what I'd recommend there. The Volantes. Now, Volantes are basically box-to-box midfielders with more to run, with more space to run. They're the kind of they're going to cover these flanks as well. A question as well that we also have. Sorry, just to go off on a tangent here. The reason why this particular formation doesn't get hit on the flanks because we've only got one, and this area will be red once it's fully faked. I mean, if I quick pick here, I'll show you. There you go. The reason why this is an issue that isn't very big for this tactic. Why? Because we've got 1, 2, 3 players around this area who can provide cover. Usually you get 2 in most formations, but because of the way this is set up, this wide area doesn't necessarily seem to be much of a problem. Just so you know. So box-to-box Segundo Volantes. I had them on shoot less often, but you probably could go with more. This was actually Savage, who we've been trying to get as a Segundo. He's got a little better, but he's not improved at his new position as much as Luis Alberto, who is not a Regista at all. Throughout the course of the season, he has gone to a Regista. He is pretty much accomplished, I think that is, pretty much, that's going to be accomplished. And, I got 24 assists out of him, mainly from corners and free kicks, but still, he's a really impressive Regista. It took him a year to get to this level. He's unhappy as well. He wants a new contract, probably justifiably. But yeah, the Regista, your Andrea Pirlo type, good passer, as we got here. Maybe a couple more traits. Alternate for this, of course, if anybody was watching the Arsenal save. Sandro Tonali, Pirlo 2, you can get him, he's 19 now, but he starts at 8, you can get him at 18 for I think about 7 million in the opening window. He starts with all these PPMs. If you are going to go Regista long term, absolutely go with this guy, regardless of system, at one of the best buys this year. And hopefully Savic will become, I think, as good as a Volante as I think he can become. I think he is the best player in this game currently, and I look forward to seeing if people can actually get him as a Volante. Something I'm going to try and do going forward if I do use this. Wide playmakers also. good passes. You can see here, I mentioned the right flank being particularly good. I gave myself Chiesa. This is not a natural save. It's just a testing save. So I gave myself Chiesa. It's not a ridiculous concept to think that he could be at Lazio at some point. Playing as a wide playmaker support, obviously a very strong player, and that probably had a hand in the more goals from the right flank than the left flank, where we use Lulic, who is, pretty much great at this. To be honest, I thought he did really well. I thought he had a better year than that. But still, Lulic is good. Also, who else did we use there? I can't remember who it was now. Yeah, Joaquin Carrera, just as good as well. Lazio don't have much of a problem here, other than the right-sided playmaker. I also gave myself one other player, one I could actually have bought, but I just moved him over. Valerie Germain, one of my favourite players as well. Incredibly versatile striker. Look at this. He can do pretty much anything and everything. As my air conditioning flies on, I apologise if you can hear that. Right, yeah, Valerie Germain. 42 appearances, 20 goals, 8 assists. Not a bad return. Star man, though, Luis Alberto with his 24 assists, and then you could probably throw a hat over both Luis Alberto and Immobile for the best player of our team. 37 goals this year, 15 assists. 11 man of the matches out of 50 appearances. That's pretty good, right? I think one of the better years I've seen any particular striker have. So yeah, that's who we have there. So yeah, those kind of players. So, I'll leave the archetypes and descriptions in the written guide for you there. But yeah, expect lots of goals and lots of very pretty football. There are some patterns of passes that are great. This guy, the Regista, just roaming around, pinging balls left and right all day long. Diagonals from the wide playmakers going forward towards these two, I should say. Very pretty to look at. It's incredibly attractive football. It is not a malicious sort of cold-blooded 2-0 guaranteed. You're committing to a style and an aesthetic with this system. I'm loving it. Absolutely love watching what happens. But there are some defensive issues. But I think changing them would remove some of the pleasing aesthetics of it. So by all means, go and commit, but don't expect unbeaten seasons or anything like that. Just expect incredibly great football and a lot of goals, which is isn't that the best way to play football? I think it is. Oh yeah, also for the first time this year, first time in a long time, I think I've actually put on my set pieces. Yeah, so I've actually put on the defensive corner I've got and the attacking corners. There is a rotation of 3 corners. Because I've got 3 centre-halves, obviously you're going to be very strong from set pieces. I have 3. I have a near post, a far post, and a 6-yard box delivery. It is best, if you can, to obviously get the best free kick taker you can to take those, and have somebody with decent passing and long shots on the edge of the box, which is pretty much what we've got there. You might need to do some editing yourself. I've also, for throw-ins, I've taken advantage of the fact that, it's mainly technical players. Also for this, I would literally recommend having the Libero or the center of the defenders taking the throw-in. Just to create a huge overload. So he's got to be out of position if you do lose it, but more often than not, it's a positive. So yeah, there you go. Have your Libero take the throws. It's short, technical players, pop, 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 and a cross comes in with 2 guys there. Very good. It's worked well for us over the course of the testing, I think. I don't usually put the set pieces in because every team's different, but so many people are asking what set pieces. As for opposition instructions, again, I don't do opposition instructions as a template. It depends on who you're playing and what your players are. Obvious recommendations are to smother the guys that are creative, but don't get pulled away too far. So if they're deep creative players, you might not want to man mark them, but more advanced ones, absolutely. So pressure, tackle hard the cowards, close down the people with low composure, make sure crosses are taken care of, especially if they have a target man, weaker foot that. Those are the basics I can offer for that, but there's no set rules for that. You have to do that on your fly. Just ask your assistant and have a look and go, oh, hang on, he's not closing down that guy too much. And then make the changes yourself. And of course, yeah, the AI does adapt, but I think it has trouble with this particular tactic. If you use one tactic in Football Manager, you get found out, inverted commas. it kind of happened a lot less than this. Even on the Arsenal game when we tested it for, I think, about 70 or 80 games over the course of 2 seasons, it never stopped really working. I think our players stopped performing. I made a couple of bad signings on the stream as well. A couple of selling, getting rid of Leto and replacing with Donnarumma might have been an error. But still, yeah, it's a lot of fun, this tactic. I had a great time developing it. I'm really grateful that I actually got to commit as much time as I could, thanks to the support for the people on Patreon and on Twitch. Yeah, I think that does it for this little video. There is obviously going to be a more detailed written guide there talking about specifically what type of players I'd recommend, what stats to focus on, but primarily passes, expect lots of goals, and really, really attractive football. But I think that leaves it for this video. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. And again, if you do want to help the development of more tactics and you want to say thank you for the videos, anything like that, the Patreon link is down below. Make sure you click subscribe onto this video, like, leave a comment, say thanks, whatever. You know, leave constructive feedback or mean feedback, whichever. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.